This is the histology of the nervous system. The nervous system is divided into neurons. So neurons are the ones that are carrying electrical activity. And there is another part that I will discuss it in a few minutes. Okay. So here is the neuron is divided into three different parts. The first part is these branches, and these are called the dendritic branches or dendritic. These smaller ones that you see, these are called dendritic spines. So these are the branches and these are the spines. The function of the dendrites is to receive information. That receives information. And then is the cell body. Okay, so the cell body is called soma, and it contains a nucleus and nucleolus, very active. It also contains rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it has a lot of free ribosomes. So the combination of these two together under a microscope, it looks darker, and these are called nestle bodies. So this dark area that contains RER and free ribosomes. It also has Golgi apparatus, and there is also other filaments like neurofilaments and neurotubules. So the cell body is processing the information that is received from the dendrites, and then it sends it to the axon. By the way, the cell body has a lot of mitochondria because it's very, very active. Very active. The nervous system is processing, the central nervous system actually processing 20% of the body energy, so it's very active. So then it's connected to this long extension through this area that's called axon hillock. So this is the axon, this is the axon, and that is sending the information, okay? And that's connected through the axon to cell body. And the cytoplasm of the cell body, by the way, is called pericardium. So the axon is covered by a plasma membrane, and that's called axolemma. At the end, the axon branches, and when it branches, these are called collaterals. So these big ones are called collaterals, and then they branch again and become smaller, and these are called telodendria. Telodendrian is the singular form, telodendria is the plural form, and then they are connected with a postsynaptic cell. So synapse is the connection between the two cells. And this one can be a muscle or a gland, or it can be another nerve, so it can be anything. And there's also two different type of directions. So there is materials that are made in the cell body, and it goes toward the telodendria, and that's called anterograde. And there is proteins that carrying that information, and that protein is called kinesin. So there's neurotransmitter that are chemicals that are made, and they are sent initially here. And there is another movement that are there that is going backward, that is called retrograde, from the axons, end of the axon goes to the cell body. So the retrograde one is carried by these proteins, and dynein is the name of the proteins. When a nerve is stimulated, so the direction is from cell body toward the end of the axon. So it receives information, it processes this information here, and then it sends all the way to the end of the axon. So it is a one-way direction. So what is a synapse? So this area that you see, this is the end of the telodendrian, and this area that is enlarged, this is called synaptic terminal. The synaptic terminal contains, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, and also these vesicles. These vesicles are called synaptic vesicles and contains a chemical, and that chemical is called a neurotransmitter. So then it discovered, this end is covered by plasma membrane. So this area is called presynaptic membrane. And then there is a space here that is called synaptic cleft. This is space. And then is another cell membrane, and that is called the postsynaptic membrane. The postsynaptic membrane here. So this postsynaptic membrane is part of another cell. So the synapse is the connection between the two cells. So it can be one neuron with another neuron. It can be one neuron with a gland, or one can be neuron with a muscle. So it depends on the location of the body. There is a different classification of the neurons. Okay, so one is called anaxonic, so it does not have an axon, and you can see the dendrites and the cell body here, and that is found in the brain and special senses. The second one is called bipolar neurons, and it has one dendrite. Okay, so it's small. That's connected to the cell body, and then is a short axon. So this is found in the special senses, and when we get to the special senses, I will remind you at that time. Then it's called the unipolar or pseudo-unipolar neurons that starts with the dendrites, and then this whole thing from here all the way to here is the axon, and axon is connected somewhere in the cell body. So this one is in the sensory neurons. So when we get to the sensory neurons, I will give you the examples at that time. This one is really long. For example, a neuron dendrites can be in your big toe, and the cell body can be near the spinal cord. So that can be that long. And then is the multipolar that have many dendrites, different dendrites are there. The cell body is processing it, and then has one big axon that branches into smaller teledendria, and you can see that in the central nervous system, and also a connection between a nerve and skeletal muscle.